everyone, welcome to the Clydesdale CrossFitter and Friends. We are back with a special edition midweek. We are releasing another one because we've had a ton of guests lately. It's been pretty awesome, hasn't it?
Very awesome.
So this week we are interviewing Ryan Elrod, Masters athlete, was first place going into the CrossFit Games this year, former Cirque Du Soleil member. Totally interesting, fascinating guy. And what's really kind of cool is he's probably the first suspended athlete to come back successfully in the CrossFit space. And I got to admit, when I hear like drug suspensions, I am a Debbie Downer. Like, I don't want to hear your excuse. There's no excuse for this. And then I heard Ryan's story and I'm like, that was wrong.
And you're like, I kind of get it.
Legit,
That was just flat out wrong. I mean, and the emotions of him and his wife trying to have children and the struggles they went through, and here it's a medication to help them get through that. And that's way bigger than CrossFit.
Yeah.
Right. There's CrossFit and then there's like real life.
Right. And that it wasn't even on the banned substance list, yet it was in this tagline of, or anything else that may blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And what I like about this interview is you can see the internal struggle from Ryan. Like, he understands why CrossFit has to be so vehement about what they're doing, yet it really sucks that he got screwed.
It doesn't make it suck any less, even if there's a good reason for it.
So with that, we'll go to that interview now, and then we have a few news bits afterwards, and we'll finish up the show. See you then.
Start video.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There I am. My first time on Zoom.
Are you kidding?
wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
I've been Zooming every day just from work. So
My kid Zooms every day with every other day with the gymnastics, but
Cool.
they always set it up on my wife's phone. So I've never had to do it. I had to download it and everything.
Well, we
Awesome.
appreciate you doing that.
yeah.
There I am.
Awesome.
We're excited to have you on.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So just to introduce everyone, I'm Scott Schweitzer. We have my co-hosts, Amy Radowski
Hey there. Welcome.
Hello.
and
Thank
Kat
you.
Shear.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey.
And I guess,
I'm Ryan.
yeah. And Kat knows you from the Grid League. She was telling us that she used to be a gridler
Yeah.
who
Oh,
worked
cool.
for the Grid League. So
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. I'm Vinny Casey and I are pretty decent friends. So I've been talking to him.
Oh,
a
my
while.
buddy. That was my roommate.
Yeah. I'm a
He was my
brawler
roommate.
fan.
Yeah, we were roommates throughout all of the grid traveling, except for the very last year. They separated us and we threw a fit.
That's great.
At first I was mad. I was like, I think I was 34, 35 at the time. I was like, you can't put me with an 18-year-old. I was like, what are we going to talk about? And then it was like, it was meant to be.
He's an old soul for sure.
Yeah, he was fun. Except he kept the hotel room at like 61 degrees. And I was like, dude, you're going to have to turn that up. I can't sleep. It's freezing.
That's funny.
well, we'll just go ahead and get started into the interview. It's nice to have you on. This is Ryan Elrod, two-time regionals athlete. And this year, I'm currently sitting in first place in the age group online qualifier at the 35 to 39-year-old division. So welcome, Ryan.
Thank you.
But you said when you came on that your son uses this to do Zoom for gymnastics. So you have two kids now?
Yeah, I have my boy is 7 and my daughter is 2.
Oh, wow.
And my boy, the 7-year-old, is the one that does the Zoom gymnastics.
And so he gets that from you, I take it, the gymnastics, or his mom too?
Mom too. I don't tell this to too many people, but his mom made it further in her gymnastics career than I did. She was a British national team
Okay.
So that was further than I never made the men's senior national team here in the States. So, I mean, technically she was better than me, but I don't tell many people that.
Well, I actually, in my research, found a video. I think it was your DC Brawlers promo video where you were doing handstand challenges in the street.
Yeah, down in Florida, me probably myself versus her, and my kid ran into us.
Yep, that was it.
Yeah,
So you're a competitive family.
he's yeah. Anything that's basic gymnastics that we've done since we were 3, 4, 5, or 6 that we can still do now. It always turns into some sort of competition.
That's awesome. And so, how did you meet your wife?
We met in Cirque du Soleil. The Love show. There's a show about the Beatles. It's called Love. She was replacing somebody who was injured at the time, and then her contract was only a couple months. And then I signed a full-time contract with the Love show in 2008, and we overlapped for like maybe a couple weeks, but I didn't really know her because it was a big cast, 65 people, everyone wears makeup. And so what you see like people on the street and then you meet them in the show, they look different. So I didn't recognize her. And there was a party for like, I don't know, maybe the 1,000th show or something. And I saw her and she saw me and I was like, who are you? And she's like, I'm Emma. Who are you? And I'm like, I'm Ryan. I'm like, you're not in love. And she's like, yeah, I was in love. So that we ended up meeting at the Love show, which is kind of cool.
Well, it's where you're saying you were in love. I'm in love, and then you end up getting married.
It's a good pickup line.
It can be, and it's also can be quite dangerous. There is another guy that I knew his name, and I had met him in the street, so I knew what he looked like without makeup on. And when we had met the first time, so we met in makeup. I'm sorry. When I met him the first time in the street, and he said, "Oh, I'm Taras." I said, "Oh, I'm in love with you." And I was like, wait, hold on.
Back it up.
So, yeah, it can go both ways, I guess. But
Yeah. Too funny.
So, how long have you guys been married?
we got married in 2010, so we're coming up on, but we met in 2008.
Oh, nice. Well, 10-year anniversary. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. And we had some big plans to travel, but we'll see. We might be a quarantine anniversary. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm celebrating my 20th this year, and which it seems like something exciting to look forward to in 2020. But I'm like, maybe it's going to be a gathering where we can all get back together again. I don't know.
Maybe a front yard or a backyard or a living room.
Right.
We'll see.
That's funny. Where are you living now, Ryan?
We are in Las Vegas. We moved back to Las Vegas from Florida. My show in Florida was La Nuba. It was Cirque du Soleil at Disney, but they closed it to revamp it, and the amount of time it was closed for, I couldn't really find enough work to sustain our life. So we moved back to Las Vegas where we both can work.
And are you both still involved with Cirque du Soleil now?
Yes, my wife is still performing. But I've kind of retired on stage and I'm backstage now. I do most of the rigging, so the technical.
Oh, nice.
And when you were doing Cirque du Soleil, you were kind of a trampoline specialist?
Pretty much. I mean, if you say trampoline specialist, the people that are trampoline specialists will be like, what? No, he's not. I was more of like a freestyle trampoline guy, like a tramp wall. But the majority of my acts, which is the scene in which you do in the show, involved a trampoline. At the Love show in the Mirage, it was like trampoline free running type stuff. And at La Nuba, it was tramp wall.
Yeah, I saw some footage of that. It was pretty remarkable. You getting up the wall pretty easy.
I love La Nuba was my all-time favorite show. I loved it. I loved the act. I loved the cast, the location. I mean, my boy doesn't realize how lucky he was when we were there for 5 years that every day he was at Disney World, either watching the show or walking around. So he doesn't realize that people travel from all over the world to go to Disney World. and like use savings to do it. And he was
Mhm.
there every day. So
Yeah. How do you give a sequel to that?
I know, right? We're screwed. We went too early, too fast.
Well, in another decade or two, he'll appreciate Vegas too. So,
Yeah.
see.
Hopefully not, but we'll see.
But speaking of Vegas, what's it like there right now with all the restrictions? Like is it pretty restrictive there in Vegas as far as where you can go and what you're allowed to do or what?
I think we have froze up.
Just a second. I don't
Okay, yeah.
know.
I can hear you. There we go.
There you go.
Okay, back.
Okay.
So what's it like in Vegas now with all the restrictions?
It's the whole strip is shut down. Like everything is a stay at home, except for essential businesses. But the whole strip is shut down. All hotels, all casinos. There's no hotel reservations. There's no shows. So if you take a drive now up and down the strip, you're one of like 4 cars that are doing the same thing, which is very odd because usually if you drive a mile down the strip, it takes you half an hour. But now it's completely empty. Nobody walking outside, no nothing. Very weird. But I mean, I feel like we're not the only place, so
Sure.
can't really complain. But yeah, kind of weird.
Yeah.
So you started gymnastics when you were 3, and it sounds like you've made a living off of all that, which is pretty amazing. But when did sort of the grid and CrossFit sort of come into play?
When we left Vegas the first time in 2013, we moved to Florida to join Lanuba, the Cirque show there. And when I was kind of training in at Lanuba, I wanted to just get a membership at, I think it was like a 24-hour fitness, something like that, maybe a anytime fitness. And I would leave my house and I would drive 10 minutes to the fitness club and back. And every time I would leave my house, I would see this gym on the side where people were like doing kettlebell swings or working out outside. I was like, why am I driving past the gym to go to the gym? So I just drove in one day to check it out. And it must have been during an open gym because there was nobody there. There's like 2 people there and they were doing pull-ups and I don't know, something else. I was like, what is this place? Is this a gym? And they're like, yeah, it's CrossFit. You ever heard of it? And I said, no, never heard of it. And they're like, well, if you're welcome to kind of jump in right now. We're about to start. You know, everyone in the community is pretty welcoming. So I did the workout with them. It was something with strict pull-ups and I don't know, maybe a run. And being gymnast, strict pull-ups were the only types of pull-ups I knew how to do. And they're like, wow, after the workout, they're like, dude, you've never done CrossFit before? And I was like, no. And so I switched over my membership. I got like a promo for a couple months at a decent price that was comparable to.
Oh, here we go.
Am I here?
Yeah,
You're
you were
back
just
now.
saying you switched over your membership.
Okay, so I switched my membership over and then never went back. So I stayed at CrossFit. So I started in Florida, but yeah, then never left the CrossFit gym. And Grid kind of came along because we were doing some local thing in Florida, and Justin Kotler, who is my coach now, he traveled
nice.
down to watch an amateur Grid League tryout that Orlando was trying to start its own team. And when Kotler saw me, I think it was like 30 handstand push-ups or whatever my job was in that race. I did it. And he came up to me afterward and he goes, dude, I don't know who you are, but you were built for this sport. And they had already done a year of the brawlers. So he had already known what Grid was and seen it. So then he saw me and he told me that. And then and he drafted me that next year in the NPGL draft. So that's how I ended up in Grid. I still had no idea really what it was. I was just kind of running around doing handstand push-ups places
As fast as possible.
as fast as possible. Yeah. So
Did you
yeah, then
enjoy-
Kotler.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
loved it. Sorry. Did I enjoy Grid?
Oh, yeah.
Dad loved it. I don't know if there's a dispute between CrossFit and grid and whatever. I enjoyed all of it. I think it's different. Grid, obviously you can play to your strengths, which is cool. I don't have to lift a barbell very often, which I enjoy. So yeah, I loved grid. I loved the team aspect of it, male, female competing against each other. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the fans liked it too because there was something to look forward to a little more often than the CrossFit Games once a year, or regional. There were lots of events that, unfortunately they all didn't happen, but in the golden years, it was really fun to watch.
What was cool, my wife came to a couple matches, some of the finals in LA and some of them, and what I felt from it and what she explained from it is say at a CrossFit regionals or a CrossFit Games, when it's close, at the end and the crowd starts erupting because you're about to finish, but it's a tie and they want to know who's going to win. And that energy starts to really come out. That it was like that in grid, but 11 times in a row, because all 11 races were so close that the energy erupted 11 times in 90 minutes, You didn't have to wait for a setup of a next event. You didn't have to wait a couple hours for the next event. It was fast. So you screamed for 90-ish minutes and then it was over, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked it. And I think as it went on, the coverage got better. Initially, it was a little hard to see because it moved so fast. But I think they did do a lot better job as it went on, getting better coverage of it. It's a shame they didn't give it enough time to really catch on.
Yeah, I understood that it was probably hard to watch, and I understood that it was probably hard to keep track of the reps. But I think they were learning as they were going along, and it was getting better, I felt. But yeah, then from being in it that first year, and then they would do replays of it, watching it, you were I even knew what rep schemes were happening, and it was kind of difficult to follow along at sometimes when they were trying to do split screens and the reps at the same time. But I think they were getting better. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it didn't keep going. But I'm too old now anyway. I don't know if I would be that fast anymore.
Didn't initially you had to have one masters athlete on a team?
Yeah, I think that was my first year, and that was fun in itself because we had Ron Ortiz, we had Chris Dozois, and it was great. We had Janet Black. I mean, those are some big names in the masters divisions, and so it was just cool to see them still super excited as we were, putting it all out there all the time.
So then you moved into the CrossFit world and regionals. You started in 2016.
Was that the dates get confusing, but I remember, yes, the first year I made regionals was the first year that I had Justin Kotler as a coach. Because the prior year before that, I think I was 3 spots shy of qualifying for regionals. And I think so maybe I was 23 or 24. And I remember number 21 and 22, they ended up going team. So I was next in line, but then it got cut off. So I remember being really close and just being oh, I can't believe it. And then the next year I had Kotler. And I think that year it was just having him in my corner, in my ear before the workout, testing the workout. He's such a strategizer that I never was. I would just read it and be okay, well, I'm going to go until I get tired and then I'm going to just finish it.
Yeah.
And he's no. Look at the clock and be done with this round at this time and don't start the next round until this time. And then, so having him in my corner just changed everything. I was still probably as strong or as skilled or talented as I was. All those levels were probably the same, but strategizing changed it. And I think I ended up 4th in the Southeast that first year to get to regionals.
And then in your first regionals that year, you took 13th? Is that correct?
Either 13th or 14th, but there's a funny story about it. That I had issues with my knees since I was a gymnast. Some patella tendonitis, which is it's comes and goes, but it's always painful. So I talked to somebody and they said, oh, I have this friend that will do PRP and it will help. and I had never done it before. And so when I went to talk to the doctor that was going to do it, I explained, I said, hey, my 2-year-old is almost about to run out here in her underwear.
She's welcome.
When I went to the doctor and explained, I said, hey, I competing in CrossFit. I had this big, I kept saying weightlifting because I was pretty sure she wasn't going to understand CrossFit.
Right,
I have a big weightlifting competition. I need to lift heavy weights, and it's like this weekend. This was maybe a Monday, and I was leaving on Thursday. She goes, you're going to be fine. And I was like, okay, but this is like my first regionals, right? I was like, this is the biggest competition I've ever been to. Like, I can't express enough to you that I have to be 100% healthy. She's like, yeah, in 2 days, you're going to be fine. So I get the injections, do everything, cost me a couple $100. My knee swelled up like a balloon. 3 days go by, and I can't even walk.
Oh no.
I put a video up on Instagram of, we were at my kid's soccer game in the evening, and I took, I dropped something off the car, and I was trying to like run back, and like my run was like a hobble. And I was so mad. I was like, how could you do this to me? And of course it's my fault, you know, but
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I was like, how could you do this? I can't. So go to regionals. I can't really squat. I can't really bend my knee. And there's this workout with like 100 and something wall balls into like 84 pistols and power cleans. It was like 2 workouts back to back, and it just ruined me. I was like, that's it. I'm done.
Oh.
So I was still happy. I won regional Nate that year, which I just took as like, I've accomplished what I've set out to accomplish. I mean, I qualified for regionals, which was big, and I won an event. Like, how I can't be any happier. But afterwards I was frustrated. I was like, wow, I think I got 14th. I wonder if I was healthy, like what could I have actually done, you know, like with the pistol work, 'cause I'm pretty good at pistols. If I could actually have pistoled, maybe I could have like pushed top 10 and been in that final heat, which would have been fun. But I still took it as an experience, and I was super happy at the end.
So have you done that again, the PRP?
No, never.
Not a good experience.
No, once was enough. I don't really like shots or like injections. I used to get like cortisone, and when I was in gymnastics in my shoulders, and I just never really like felt normal afterwards. So I'm not a humongous fan. I would do it if it like was beneficial, but I'm not a big fan of it.
So then in 2017, you go to regionals and you do much better.
That still had Coach Kotler, and I had moved gyms. Cassidy Lance opened up a gym down the street from me. We were on the Brawlers together. We were really good friends. So I went and trained with her for that whole year, and wow, what a difference like getting beat every single day makes, rather than like, you know, always finishing towards. I used to be just on Wodify, right? So I would like look at the Wodify leaderboard and be like, oh yeah, I got first or second or whatever. And then you go train with someone like Cassidy Lance, and you're like, oh, so you lapped me twice, so you're pretty good. But to be fair, she did win the Open that year, so I don't feel as bad.
And so you were when you went to that regionals, weren't you only training 1 hour a day, or one training session?
One training, yeah.
Okay.
Cassidy, I think, was doing 2 because she could go back in the evening. But I was working at Lanuba, so I was doing shows in the evening, and my call time was like 6 o'clock, 5:45, 6 o'clock. I would get there like 4 and try to do like some sort of accessory work there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was performing at night, and then I would get home at midnight, and I'd try to be back at her gym at 9:30.
Wow.
So some of the happiest times then in 2017, Emma got pregnant, right? With Lily.
She did, yeah. Finally.
And then sort of on the polar opposite side of that, something sucked about her getting pregnant in terms of what you had to do to go through it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't compare the two anymore. I still like get upset when I think about it now, like what could have been.
Sure.
But you know, like what a lot of people don't know is like we had tried a lot, and the one that hurt the worst one of the times that it didn't work out for us, for her to get pregnant, was when I think she was like 13 weeks or something, and it was past the 12-week point where everybody said, oh, once you pass 12, you're good to go. Like it's like a 99% chance. And we're not experienced. Like we had one kid and it worked out first time. And so we never experienced heartache. So when that happened, and that was like, we stopped trying for a while, and then we tried again, it didn't work, and again, it didn't work. So we were like, let's just talk to the doctor. The doctor just recommended a couple things for both of us to do. Nothing serious, nothing where she's like, you know, we need to like really think and plan, like, let's just do this step first, which we both, you know, kind of like I was taking some pill 3 times a week, and she was doing some injections in her belly a couple times, and that was it. And then it worked. And we passed 12 weeks, I think, like maybe mid-February, end of February, something like that. And the only reason I remember this is because I did the count backwards when I was not allowed to go to the games. And I was like, no, that's not right. You guys don't understand. Because we were continuing to take our medication up until we were like 13, 14 weeks. And we were like, okay, we're good. So then we stopped because we were like, there's no point in continuing to take it because we've done it now, and we'll just see if this one plays out. And then, you know, games come around and ended up qualifying in 5th place. So I was like blown away. Like Cassie was like, you're going to qualify. I'm like, come on. I was like, I'm not that level of athlete. And she's like, no, you're going to qualify. And as the workout started coming out and there was no barbell, no deadlifts, I was like, oh okay, well, if there was ever a time that I could qualify, like this was it. So we just buckled down and we pushed, go to the games, end up in 5th, get made fun of by, you know, Travis Mayer for being the old guy. Not actually Travis. He was a great guy, but the announcer kept saying like, the old guy. And Travis like, hey, you gonna bring your wheelchair to the games? And he was really funny. And then when everything happened, I was like, what are they talking about? How can this even be a thing? I was so upset and shocked. I was like, I don't even understand. I didn't get it. And then I had to email back and forth and dispute it or appeal it, whatever they called it. And the dude I was talking to, I can't remember his name, through email, a couple times on the phone, he said, okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. I got everything. Everything's good. Everything's cool. Thank you for all the information. I got it here. Everything's cool. And the way he said it to me, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Got it.
I'm good.
And then I think it was like 2 weeks before the game. Like I had a plane ticket. I had my hotel. I had everything. And I get the email and like, oh, you're suspended for 2 years for violating. And I was like, what? I was like, 2 years for what? And I'm pleading my case and everything. And I just have to, I mean, I'll never accept it. Like, really? Like, it hurts. But I have to understand that how do they know what I'm saying is 100% legit? Or how do they believe? And really, at the end of the day, I was wrong because I should have known that I have to tell them everything. And I didn't. I didn't know that, like, hey, if I take ibuprofen, I have to pick up the phone and call 1-800-CrossFit and say, hey, I'm taking ibuprofen. Hey, if I, you know, have a Z-Pack for a cold, I have to pick up the phone, call 1-800-CrossFit. Hey, I'm taking a Z. Like, I didn't know because I wasn't that type of an athlete. And my whole argument was, it's not my life. Like, I understand the people that make it their life, they follow the 100% rules because that's their job. They get paid for that. For me, it's a hobby. I didn't look into it because it's not super important to me. And I'm wrong. You're right. But I'm just pleading at the mercy now. Like, come on, man. Like, really, look at what happened. Look at the regional workouts. This is like, you guys don't know me, but I'm telling you, this is my only chance. Okay. I'm not going to beat these guys again. And it didn't work out, and it hurt for a long time, but what can you do?
I mean, at least, we as fans, when we follow, you know, the sport and hear about sanctions against athletes and things like that, you pretty much know, though, that a 2-year ban versus a 4-year ban is different, right? And that the 2-year bans are really about people that, you know, it's an inconsequential type of, you know, ingestion, if you will, of that substance, and that you really weren't, you know, trying to get a leg up by, you know, taking that pill, versus, you know, the people that sort of knowingly, you know, you can't just accidentally like inject yourself with something and not think it's going to affect you.
And I understood. I mean, I get it. I was just like, no, really, listen to me. Like, please, just let me go, please.
It's like, you get it, but it still doesn't make it hurt or suck any less.
Yeah. And I was like, And I had a lot of people go to bat for me. Cassidy Lance, like literally like one of my best friends, just went to bat, messaged everyone, said, look, I know him. I know his family. I know what he's going through. I know what they did. I know everything. Like, so for her to step up to the plate for me also, I mean, it was nice and made me feel good. I mean, it didn't change the outcome because they're not going to, but you know,
Yeah,
it
I still
is.
feel
I
like
mean,
of all the people that have had sanctions against them, yours is unique. I really do feel that way. That people, it's not just like, oh, it was accidental and, you know, I didn't know and that kind of thing. Like you were upfront about it and it just made the most sense. So I think the people that followed you and that were rooting for you, you know, never thought any less of you for sure at the time. I'm just curious to know, like, did you know at that point in time that you were going to come back in 2 years? Like, was that on your heart and in your mind? He'll come back.
Yeah.
hello?
Hello.
Sorry, you guys overheated and
Oh.
now you're in the freezer.
Oh,
Okay.
sweet.
We're not used to that here.
That's great.
Yeah. So
I don't know the last thing you guys heard. I'm sorry.
Okay.
that's okay. I had asked the question about whether you knew right away, were you going to pursue the sport and try again in 2 years? Was that sort of something on your mind or?
Initially, no, I was like, I quit. I was like,
Yeah.
I hate this. I'm never doing that again. I can't believe them. I gave, 2 efforts to this sport hobby, I called it. And they did that to me. Nope. Never gonna go back. Sorry, Cassidy, not coming back to the gym, nothing. And, then like a week went by and I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'd probably go back.
A week. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I missed it. I mean, I missed my friends. I missed training. It hurt to help, train with Cassie as she was prepping for the games. And there was a couple, like the Orlando Sentinel was a newspaper company. There was going to do an interview on all of us. And then I obviously didn't do it. And then watching all them go to the games and then trying my best to be stubborn and not watch the games, but secretly watch the games was like, it was just hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do the open like on your own in 18 and 19 to just sort of see where you stacked up?
I did it because I love doing it.
Sure.
I did them. It was hard to, with the open, it's hard to like find yourself. I did try to leaderboard a little bit and be like, oh, I think I'm about here.
Mm-hmm.
But when you really aren't competing, you kind of lose that extra edge to push for like one more rep or one more.
Sure.
But I still did it, just to field them, because I think in my mind I was like, they'll do a repeat and I would have done this now. So
yeah.
Which
so
they did.
One more question about this, and then we can move to something a little more happy. So behind the scenes, how does it work? Do they come to you and say, hey, you've tested positive and it's a 4-year, and then you have to appeal to get it down to the 2-year or?
They sent me an email that I checked after work one night. So like probably like midnight 30. My wife was in bed, maybe putting Netflix on, and I had just jumped out of the shower and I'm checking my email just before getting into bed. And I see this email from CrossFit and I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, this is my games invite. And I open it and it was, it said, you have failed the drug test that you took on regional weekend. You tested positive for this substance. You have 48 hours to appeal. If you wish to do so, you need to email us within this time and say that you want to appeal, and then you have to explain why you're appealing.
So did you know right away what that substance was? I mean, did you know, oh, this is the drugs I was taking?
No, I had to Google. Okay. That was what I was like, what is that? And so I Googled it. And the first thing when I Googled it pops up is this like super jacked chick on Google Images. And I was like, oh, what the heck? I was like, it's a mistake. It has to be a mistake. And of course, now I've included my wife. I'm like, Emma, get up. Come read this email. This is an emergency. Turn off Netflix and you come over here right now. And I'm like, look at this. Look at what's going on. And she's like, what is that? And I had still had some of that medication that I was taking in the cupboard because it was like, we had however much it was. So I'm like looking through medication. I'm looking through my supplements. I'm like, no, this is it right here. I was like, why why would this be an issue? And we look it up on the CrossFit drug testing list, and it's not listed. And I'm like, no, what are they like? They can't do this to me. And so then during the email disputes, I'm like, you guys, it's not even listed. Like, how was I supposed to know? And they're like, well, if you look down at the bottom, it says this list is an endless list. And I was like, well, that's pretty vague. So yeah, I mean, but then we had our doctors write letters. I showed all the prescriptions, all the refills, all of her, even her doctor wrote a letter, and her prescriptions and the dates of when we found out. And so everything. And that's when the guy that I thought was nice and my friend, he's like, oh yeah, thank you. I've got everything. It's all good. And I was like, sweet. Okay, thanks. And then they sent me an email like, I mean, what I was mad about is they sent me an email like 2 weeks before I was getting on the plane. I was like, hey, really? So
yeah,
whatever. It's in the past now.
So now your ban is up, and you competed in the Open this year.
It was up, towards the end of, maybe the middle, June, July, something. So I was actually, my first thing back was Wodapalooza, which I was excited about. And then
you did pretty well at.
Yeah, did good at that. And I used that to see, because I hadn't been in front of people or on a floor in a while. So I used that with zero expectations, but just to see how I would stack up once the, like in the Open, I kind of thought I would get top 200, which is what the age group is. So you just make top 200 to move on to the age group. So I wasn't super concerned with the first Open, but I used Wodapalooza as to see where I would stack up in the age group qualifier.
And you won Wodapalooza, correct?
Yeah, I won Wodapalooza.
Yeah, not too shabby.
And you won the online qualifier.
And then I won the age group online qualifier. Yeah.
Baller. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And so now, so what do we think is going to happen now with the games?
Well, I mean, you hear rumors. I'm trying to stay optimistic because I just can't take any more disappointment right now. But I mean, I've heard of the ranch, which I think would be awesome to go there. You know, obviously Madison would be great, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I think they've already said Madison is not going to happen and that they will do it at the ranch. I'm not sure. I struggle to follow along social media sometimes, but I think what's happening is it's going to Aromas. But I've heard that Masters and Teens are not going to do it, or it's not sure. So I'm just not really paying attention until somebody flat out tells me yes or no. I still haven't received an invite either.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe you'll get an email 2 weeks before and then you'll know.
Right.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. At least Aromas isn't too far.
Yeah.
So
that would be a good easy trip. And they haven't finalized the video review of the online qualifier, I think.
Yeah, that keeps getting pushed back, which is annoying because I mean, I just like with everything that I've been through in CrossFit specifically, I just want to know, like, just tell me, hey, your video's good, which it is. I know my video's good. All my videos always go on YouTube instantly, so I don't have to track it down at the last minute. And I know my reps are good. I had some good friends of mine and training partners now. It's Margot Alvarez and her husband Alex, and they were there for every workout. Like, she did most of the workouts next to me to push me because she's obviously pretty good. And I had Alex judge, and I had my own certified judge. So I know the videos are good. I just want the invite to be like, hey, here's your invite to the games in California, or here's your thing that says good job, you qualified and you won, but there's no games. Better luck next year. Just something. I just want to know.
Yeah.
So.
And how old are you, Ryan? Where are you stack up in that 35 to 39 age group?
I'm 36 for 2 more weeks. My birthday is May 7th.
Okay. So you got a few more years in that age group to dominate.
Yeah. I always tell people, because it's been quite a journey for me, and I've put a lot of time into it. And my wife and kids have made the sacrifices for me. And my wife still performs, but she would like to not perform too much longer. So she wants to do something. So she's currently in school now, which is getting a lot done during quarantine, but it's time for me to kind of take the kids while she does her thing. So I had said, once I got suspended, I said, look, I want to come back. I want to make the games once. If I can go to the games and put my best effort forward, I will chill, do some classes, train on the side a little bit, and it's your turn. So I'll take the kids for the 2.5 hours that I'm usually gone in the morning. You can go to your school. And like, I obviously owe her that and much more, but so I hope that we go this year and I can go to the games and do it. But we'll see. I don't want to put her on hold too much longer.
So about 1.5 years ago, you had a knife incident with your finger. Can we get an update on how that's going?
Yeah.
I was very
and it wasn't a
concerned
knife
when I saw it.
So
tell
it
us the
wasn't
story.
a knife, actually.
Okay.
I was working at a show underwater. So I was a scuba diver, and I was down probably 20 feet underwater and moving big stuff around to, like, there's a lot of stuff that happens underwater. So when it comes to surface level or above the water, the audience sees it, the performers go on it, and then it sinks back down underwater, and then we move the equipment or whatever. So if you can imagine like a dresser drawer, like how the drawer pulls out and goes back in, that's basically what it was, but it was ginormous, and it was a solid steel structure, and it was on wheels like a drawer, but very close to the floor. And I was rolling this steel gate out about 20 feet. We put the piece of apparatus on it, and then we roll it back off the stage that goes up and down. And as I was rolling it off, I'm wearing gloves. My glove had gotten kind of trapped in the wheel and pulled underneath it. And this thing is ridiculously heavy. And so it rolled over my finger at like the exact point where it was going to go into its drawer home, like where it lives. And there's no space for your finger in there. So it grabbed my finger, pulled it in, and then the steel structure slammed shut like a drawer slamming shut on a dresser, and my finger was in it. But it's like
kind of grew back, right?
Right there.
Yeah.
This one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit shorter. Like it comes to like the middle fingernail. Maybe it's even with the index.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, like you can see it's
Okay. Yeah.
it's like longer. These two are pretty close.
Yeah.
So yeah, the pictures on Instagram are pretty gruesome, but it was weird. It kind of grew back, and even the hand doctor, when I went back for my final eval, he was like, "Wow, we did a good job doing surgery." And I was like, "Dude, you didn't do surgery?" And he's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, you gave me a Band-Aid, remember, and sent me home." And he's like, "There is no way. I'm going to need to see some before and after pictures." And he's like, "To be honest, I think we should like take your blood and see if you have some sort of cure inside of you for things." So they were all pretty shocked. It was funny.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So your future looks more like doing stuff to allow your wife to do what she wants to do for a little while, because you've gotten to do what you wanted to do. Anything personal for goals?
Right now, specifically, yeah. I mean, once my wife kind of gets going with her thing and I have the kids, I've been working with my son on his gymnastics, even though he goes to a gym and has his own coach. It's pretty hard to watch someone else coach him. And I have a pretty sweet setup at home. I have a rig that was my friend Pat built specifically for me. Bridge built. It's called Bridge Fitness. It's great stuff. So we have a home rig with rings and a bar and parallettes and a trampoline and some mats for floor and a mushroom for circles. So I've been working a lot with him, trying to get him into this category called Future Stars, which is set for young kids that are kind of above average in the sport of gymnastics, where they can go compete against other kids that are above average in the sport all around the nation. So there'll be like a Team USA Future Stars regionals and nationals and stuff like that, it's big time. So I'm working with him with that. My daughter, I just try to keep her out of trouble because she's quite the troublemaker. which is a polar opposite from my son, who is an angel all the way up until, still. And my daughter has been the opposite all the way up until still. So I try to keep her out of trouble while helping my boy do the same.
Do you still have dogs?
2 bulldogs. Yep.
Two
Still
bulldogs.
kicking. They're 11 years old this year. So
Oh, wow.
with bulldogs, we know, it can be anywhere from like 10 to 12 years is their lifespan. So yeah, we still have dogs. They just walk less now, like down the driveway and back. is good for them.
That's cute.
So I have one final question for you. You have a nice tattoo sleeve. Any significance to the tattoos you have on your sleeve?
Yeah. My arm is the big one, and I can kind of show you. It starts from the top. This is 2 lions. It kind of represents my wife and I. And then the sleeve itself is a DNA strand.
Oh.
And the DNA strand, so this one is a pink strand, and it has the coordinates of where my daughter was born. And then up here is the dark blue strand, which has the coordinates of where my son was born.
Very cool.
And then this black and gray is half American flag, half British flag, which would represent what they are.
Very cool.
Awesome. And you have their birth dates on your chest, right?
Like that.
Your kids?
Yep, that's a fairly new one. Yeah, right on my left boob.
I'm not a stalker or anything. I just
Just research. You're doing research.
Then the most important tattoo I have, to be completely honest, and I even used it in this interview, and I don't know if you guys noticed, is this one right here.
Right there.
Okay.
Love it.
So when you had asked me how long had we been married earlier in this episode, I kind of did a quick 10 years this year.
So let me tell you about that. So our anniversary is September 9th of 2020.
Okay.
But that was part of the whole reason why we got married in 2000. I said, that way you will never have to guess how many years we've been married. You'll just think the year, that's how many years. So.
Yep. Perfect. Smart.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have waited a couple years. Oh no, 10. We're
10,
good.
you're good.
I'm
Yeah.
just one less. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you very much.
I do it all the time.
Oh
man, thank you. I appreciate it.
We're super excited. I'm really rooting for you and hoping that you get to sort of fulfill this journey this year. It's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. It should be a fun one.
Fingers crossed for sure.
Fingers crossed.
We'll be rooting
Thank
for
you
you for
guys.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for introducing me to Zoom. Sorry about all the complications along the way. I hope it wasn't too big of an issue.
No, you did okay.
But I learned as I went, and then I only had to put you guys in the freezer once. So that's pretty good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, and we hope you have a great rest of your week and on to
thank you.
big things.
Scott, Amy, Kat, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So that was an awesome interview. It's good to be out of the freezer and cooled off now because Ryan's phone got hot. And we had some of those typical Zoom technical issues on this episode, but the content was just too good to not go ahead and publish it. And I think it wasn't enough that distracted from that too bad.
I have to say, one of the things that I just keep thinking about from that interview that just was a funny anecdote was how he would run into somebody on the street in Vegas that he was on the show with from Cirque du Soleil, and he'd be like, wait, I'm in love with you. Or I'm not in love with you. I just thought that was funny.
We're both in love together.
Yeah, we're in love together. What? No.
So go ahead, Kat.
I was just going to say I've been, following Ryan for a while now on Instagram, and his son Oliver is doing strict muscle ups now. It's very impressive. They've got good genes there.
Yeah.
So I actually we recorded that video prior to the age group online qualifier being canceled. And I actually reached out to Ryan and said, hey, can I get a statement from you to finish it up? And because we talk about what would happen if that got canceled, and he seemed very disappointed. But I want to just read a statement that he sent to us about that. And here it is. I've now qualified for 2 CrossFit Games and not been able to go to either. I'm disappointed and sad, but this is just another opportunity to become stronger as a person and learn what is really important in this life. Obviously, the health and safety of people all over the world tops myself going to a CrossFit competition. So I understand, and I will again try next year. And hey, on a positive note, when the 2020 Games season ended, I was on top.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm so happy that he said that he's going to try again, because as you know, in the interview, he talked about sort of taking a step back, letting his wife sort of pursue some things personally in her life that she wanted to. So I'm glad he gets one more year. I'm excited to see, how he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be
For
great.
sure.
So we have a couple news bits from this week. Titan Games announced their cast starting May 25th on NBC. You can check that out. And it is CrossFit heavy.
It's
so
stacked.
CrossFit heavy that Morning Chalk Up did a piece on it this morning. But we have CrossFit athletes. Amy, you want to announce who from the CrossFit world's on it? Or
I will announce the ones that I can remember. Yes. So we have Matt Chan. We have Kelly Stone, which was a former guest of the show. Margot Alvarez.
Former guest of the show.
Danny Spiegel. Maybe future guest of the show.
Maybe.
Yep.
That's all I can remember.
Yeah, those are pretty much the biggest
main
names
ones.
in the CrossFit world. There's a lot of people that do CrossFit that made it, some regionals athletes, some team athletes.
And they're all listed on Morning Chalk Up.
Yeah, and you can check that out there. But wow, Matt Chan's going to be fun because that guy is electric and funny. And I can't wait to see his personality on the screen.
I just wonder if any of the girls are gonna be against each other, like in the episode. Last year we all watched Jess Griffith, and we didn't really know anybody that she was competing against. So it'll be interesting to see if there's like a Danny Margot head to head or something like that as they go through their iterations.
I know, like if two of our former guests are on against each other, who do you root for?
What do we do? Right.
We're screwed.
Just watch like this.
So yeah, I'm excited for that. It's going to be fun. We don't have live sports right now, so that's something to actually rally behind and be able to root for someone, and it'll be pretty fun. And it's happening in about 2 weeks, so look for that.
Look forward to.
And so we're just going to wrap up some news with something else the Morning Chalk Up announced this morning, and that is that the teens are actually working together to create a teens CrossFit Games. It may not be affiliated with CrossFit, but it is all the qualifiers, and they are going to backfill if people can't make it in. But it's going to be held on the Michigan-Indiana border at, Amy?
It's at the ranch, but it's at the Pit Fitness Ranch. Which,
not the Aromas Ranch.
Right. But I like that it's also called the ranch, and I think that's fun.
And it's got like a huge indoor facility, as well as a lot of acreage for them to do different things, and a hill. I think it was described in the Morning Chalk Up.
Did they talk about timing at all?
End of August.
End of August. Okay. Yeah. And I guess, the proximity to the open doesn't matter that much to teams as it would to individuals in terms of, you being.
So let me enunciate better. Teens with an N.
Oh, teens. Teenagers. Sorry. Oh, I got excited and I thought it was going to be teams. This is what happens when you sleep in on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah, we've had to catch Kat up a little bit because she actually got some really good sleep. Her Whoop recovery is out of sight.
Dude, no. Whoop said that I woke up at 3:28 a.m. this morning, which I totally did not. I had to manually enter in the rest of my sleep, so I'm anti-Whoop today.
That is me every single day, Kat.
My Whoop died yesterday and I forgot to charge it, so mine says nothing.
Wah, wah, wah. All right. Well, happy hump day, guys.
Okay, wait, hold on. No. We're going to look at this for a second. On our Clydesdale CrossFitter and Friends Whoop group, Kat got 100% sleep, okay? 9 hours. I got 47% sleep at 3.59 hours. But look at this. My recovery is 76% and Kat's is 73%.
That's because my HRV is in the tank. I think I need to go see a cardiologist. Seriously. Like, I don't know what's happening with that.
I don't
means I'm working harder, Amy.
I know. I'm looking at that. I need that. I'm jealous of that sleep is what that means.
So we will put the Whoop group sign on in the comments in the description below. So if you want to be a part of our Clydesdale CrossFitter and Friends Whoop group, you can go ahead and join up there.
You just want to say that.
I know. I love Whoop group.
Whoop group.
So anyway, yeah, they're going to hold that competition, and it's being run by the teens themselves. Now they recruited Chandler Smith to kind of assist them with that, which I thought was really cool. But Chandler says he's taking like a hands-off, kind of letting the teens decide what they want to do.
That's awesome. And we're gonna have a couple teens on the show coming up too. So that will be neat to talk about.
And then I'm gonna do a little scoopage here. From an anonymous source, we have heard rumblings that there may be a team competition done in a very similar way.
Team with an M.
With an M. That the powers that be in the team division are mighty, and they have some pull, and they are looking at doing something as well. Now, I do not want to call this person out, so we're saying anonymous source, and hopefully in the next few days, weeks, we'll hear something on that front as well. But
and we've all talked privately about sort of where we think that might be and who might be putting it on. So we won't go out with that yet, but let's talk about who was right and who was wrong when we do find out.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notifier, like us, and leave a comment so we can get some feedback on the show. This interview is really good, and so I hope you guys enjoy it, and love to hear some feedback and hear from you guys. Follow us. Follow us on Instagram. At the Clydesdale CrossFitter.
At Team Rudy.
At Kathy Cakes.
And DM us and give us feedback there as well. We love it.
Slide into those DMs. Is that what you're saying?
No sliding. no sliding. No, just straight up comments.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Okay.
All right. With that being said, we'll see you guys next week on the Clydesdale CrossFitter and Friends.